Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remaster recently released, and it is the new standard of quality for game remasters. There was some concerns with a certain statue when the trailer first dropped, but fear not. They changed that statue, and even if it isn't sexy enough for you, you always have the option to play on the original graphics. The game allows you to instantly switch between old and new styles, just like Halo Anniversary allowed you to do. The new graphics managed to look great while also retaining the style of the old look. It still has that gritty feel to it. I also noticed there was some shakiness present when viewing cutscenes in the old graphic style. It's not very noticeable, and I do believe this is something that was present in the original, so the fact that they didn't remove that means that they really wanted to preserve the original look of things. The opening cutscene has been re-rendered using the original assets. They could have easily remade this using new assets and minimally trying to match the original, but instead they just relied on what was made previously to have it feel exactly like the original, just in higher quality. The game plays very well, now having full analog camera control instead of relying on the L and R2 buttons to swing the camera from side to side. Though you could still play with that camera limitation just by moving the camera left and right and not up and down ever, though I don't think people really would want to do that. You now have a world map, but it's more useful for simply remembering what symbols lead to what things when using the gate than an actual thing that helps you maneuver through the levels. What does help you a bit more in this regard is the compass that is now present on screen at all times. I started playing the PS1 original recently, and one thing that I had a hard time with was orientation, which led me to not knowing if I was going in the right direction or not often, which just made me feel kind of aimless in the game. This compass helps with that quite a bit, especially alongside the new camera controls. The map now lets you know how many collectibles you have left per area, which makes finding them all just less cumbersome. In terms of gameplay, it remains the same. Some people will hear this and consider this to be a negative, but I view this as a good thing. People love to bring up game preservation as a talking point when talking about pirating games, but few people actually care about preserving the original experience from these old games. This game does this perfectly. There are a few new hints added to the game via text on the bottom of the screen, mostly in parts of the game where people reported not knowing what to do. When it is possible to interact with an object, you will now see this red indicator on it, letting you know that you can interact with said object. Saving is basically instant. I honestly sometimes thought that I pressed back instead of confirm for saving. Not only is the gameplay the same but smoother, but all the voice lines have remained unaltered. The game's script is great, and the voice actors are half of that greatness.
And that, Raziel, is the demise of Nosgoth. There is no balance. The souls of the dead remain trapped. I cannot spin them in the wheel of fate. They cannot complete their destinies. Redeem yourself. Or if you prefer, avenge yourself. Settle your dispute with Kain. Destroy him and your brethren. Free their souls and let the wheel of fate churn again. Use your hatred to reave their souls. I can make it possible. Become my soul reaver, my angel of death.
Speaking of voice actors, there's a decent amount of behind-the-scenes footage from the recording booth. It really goes to show that the people that put this remaster together are true fans of Soul Reaver. This is really just an unnecessary thing to put into this thing, but they did it anyways because they thought it would be cool for people to see. Thank you, I love this stuff. We also have a bunch of demo videos from the second game, a gallery with fan art? Wow, that's dope as hell. Even the original Blood Omen got some love here, that's cool. And cosplays? Okay, this is sick, dude. We also got concept art, renders, which I love this, this one's amazing. A timeline of the events leading up to Soul Reaver 2, a bunch of little lore bits, some lost levels that you can explore for yourself, the entirety of the script that you can read, which that's cool. There's just a lot of extra stuff here that really didn't need to be, but the fact that it is here, again, just goes to show that they really put some love into this thing. This is absolutely the best time to be a Soul Reaver fan, for sure. It's also the easiest time to get into the series. If you have any interest in these games at all, then just buy the remaster. It's cheaper to buy this than to buy the 2 original games on original hardware off of eBay right now. I spent over 30 bucks on the PS1 version alone, so this remaster is a great option for people. That being said though, I don't regret buying the original, but that's mostly because I like to play on original hardware and the original versions of games, but I don't think most people have that same ideology when it comes to games. But again, the changes made here are so minimal to not change the core of the gameplay loop, and most of the things are just quality of life things like the camera controls. God of War fans, please point to this game when asking for a remaster from Santa Monica of the first 2 games. People already call Soul Reaver the God of War of the PS1, so there's some precedent in comparing the 2 series already. Imagine this level of care for God of War, re-rendering the original cutscenes. I mean, the cutscenes from 2 already look great, but they would look even better now. Having the game have new graphics with the ability to switch to the old ones still, that would be great. Being able to explore some of those old unused levels like Atlantis. Come on, dude, we would lose our minds. Well, none of that is ever going to happen, so at least I have this game to be happy about.